welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Bree, and on this channel I like to talk about my experience with budgeting as well as other personal finance topics. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about a new budgeting app called Simpler Budget. So a little bit of background on this new budget. If you've hung around in the personal finance space here on YouTube, you may have heard the Financial Audit Show by Caleb Hammer. And so a couple of weeks ago, he actually launched a brand new app called Simpler Budget. And this app's supposed to make budgeting really simple, very attainable, and help meet the needs of a lot of people who either watch his show or even participate on the show. And so today, since I honestly just love budgeting so much, I thought we would do a quick walkthrough of what that app looks like. And then I'm also going to be setting up my own budget within the app, which I plan to use for the next month. So for a little bit of background, when this app was originally launched, there was an email that came out talking about what the benefits were of this app. So I've got the email open in front of me from Caleb Hammer's team, and I just thought we would go through real quick and touch on some of the highlights that they had about the app. So this is the brand new budgeting app allowing you to track your finances and manage your budget in the simplest way possible. It has the ability to connect all of your accounts, bank accounts, credit cards, investment accounts, and track it all within a dashboard. It will automatically categorize all of your expenses, and it has the ability to help you manage your cash flow so that you can see exactly how much you've spent so far and how much you have left until your next payday. The next part of this email just kind of goes into why this app was created. In the email, he talks a little bit about the guests that he's had on his show and some of the common themes that have come up. For example, just swiping your credit card and not really thinking much more after making that initial swipe. Trying to create like a gorgeous spreadsheet that's color-coded, but then not really being able to use it. And then just not having a really good overall system to manage your finances. And so this next part talks about how Simpler Budget will be different and says that there will be real-time expense tracking. So every time you spend money, it's automatically categorized and updated. You can create custom categories, and then you can also set up certain goals, whether it be saving for a vacation or an emergency fund. Now, ultimately, this app is supposed to make things really simple. So transactions should be able to come in, they should be auto-categorized. I'm sure that you can make some edits if they do need to be tweaked and put into different categories. For example, if you have any custom categories. And then the intent is that it shouldn't take you a whole lot of time to manage your budget throughout the month. But you should also have a very nice visual dashboard to give you an idea of where you are in the month and how much money you have left. Now, when this email initially came out, there were a couple of extra perks with getting in early on the app. And so right now they have a free 30-day trial for you to try out the app, which that's what I'm currently using. There's also access to a cookbook, access to a personal finance community, regular talks from financial experts, 10-minute educational videos from Caleb Hammer, and then 10% off all educational products. Now, towards the bottom of this email, it says, P.S. The average person spends 3 hours per month trying to figure out where their money went. Simpler Budget users spend about 5 minutes because everything is automatically tracked. So overall, very promising. For me, someone who loves budgeting, I love trying out new ways to budget. So I'm really excited about this app and to see what Caleb Hammer and the team have put together. Now, I do want to quickly comment, when that initial email came out, it wasn't really clear what the exact setup was. So for example, they talked about there being a free cookbook and these live sessions with experts and educational videos. So what I have learned since kind of diving into this, there's an app called Simpler Budget, and that is an app that you can just download from the App Store. Now, my understanding is that it currently is only pushed out to the US. I think I saw in a live chat that they're going to try and get something going in Canada, but for now, it's only available in the United States. In addition to this, there's a separate website called Simpler Money, and that's where all of the educational videos are actually held. Now, from what I could see just from my initial sign up, there is no link between the two. So for me personally, I downloaded the budget and then I had no idea where to go within the budget to get to the trainings and the videos about the budget and the community. And also, I really wanted the free cookbook that came with it, so I was definitely looking everywhere to see if I had missed something, but it just seems like they haven't quite connected the two. Now, I imagine they'll improve this as time goes on, but just in case you've downloaded the app recently or you're trying to figure out what the connection is, there are two separate things that you have to go sign up for. Now, one thing that I haven't really figured out that I may have to question the support team on is whether or not it's two separate memberships for each thing, or if paying for membership to one gets you membership to the other. So for example, I downloaded the app and then I upgraded to the premium benefits, but then I had a really hard time linking that subscription to the Simpler Money. So I used my same email, but I may have created a separate account. I'm not really sure. So right now I actually have two separate free trials going on for the month. And that is just something that I'll have to figure out over the next month to get a better idea of. Awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and open the app and start doing a quick walkthrough of all of the different tabs within the app and what you can expect to see in there. Now, currently you do have to log into the app each time you open it. So it's always asking for my email and my password. I think that they're gonna try and get that improved upon and hopefully get like a Face ID feature going so that you don't always have to go through this process. Awesome, so now we are in the app. So when you initially open the app, you're greeted with an overview page. And at the top of the page, it gives you the current month that you're in. So for me, it's gonna be February at the time of recording this video. And right below that, you're gonna see how much money you have left in your budget. So for me, I have gone in and set up my budget and I have $4,388 set up for my initial budget. And right now I have $4,000 left. In the next section, you're gonna have all of your budgets listed out for you. So for example, I have my car and auto, my dining, my entertainment, fees, financial, etc. And so you can scroll across the screen and kind of just get a quick glimpse of all of your budgets and also how much money is left inside of those budgets. Below that is going to be your cash flow section. So here you can see your income and your expenses. So for income, I just kind of recorded a paycheck of $4,418. And this is actually a little bit higher than what I budgeted. And then for my expenses, it's currently showing $609. And so to the left of this, it shows your saved amount. And so for me, it is $3,800 is currently what I've saved so far, and that's just taking my income minus my expenses. The next section is the spending section, and so here I can see how much I've spent this month. And then to the right of that, there's a monthly box that shows me how much I've spent over the last couple of months and then how it compares to this month. And then right below that, you've got your top categories. So for me, it's showing that shopping is one of my top categories with 28 transactions, totaling $2,177. And then that continues down to dining and drinks, utilities, and groceries. Following that, it's got the account section. So I currently have 3 credit card accounts linked to the app. And then right at the bottom, you'll see all of your recent activity. So for me, you can see I recently went to Taco Bell, Raising Cane's. I went to Target a couple of times. The next tab is gonna be your budget tab. So again, you have the current month and year at the top. It's gonna tell you how much you have left. So if you've noticed on the overview page, it showed that I had $4,000 left. And here it gives me a bit more of an exact number that isn't rounded up. So it's showing that I have $3,951 left. I've spent $437 out of the $4,388 that I've budgeted. And then right below that, it gets into all of your categories. And so I'll go into a little bit more detail about that. The next tab is going to be your activity tab. And this is where all of your transactions pull in. So you can kind of scroll through and you're gonna see all of your recent transactions if you do have your accounts linked, or if you're manually entering them, they'll show up listed here as well. And so just like the email said, these transactions will automatically flow in and auto-categorize. And so for a quick example, if I scroll down to January 30th, I actually have an entry for Amazon and it's classified under shopping. I don't have a shopping category in my budget. And so this is an example of a transaction I may have to go back later on and edit and get it to the right category that I want it to go in. And then lastly is your profile page. And this is where your accounts will be linked if you're using the premium version. If you're using the free version, then there is an option to add it, but you do have to upgrade to the premium. Okay, so coming back over to the budgets tab, I wanted to show how you might create your budget. So there's a button down here that says add budget with a plus sign, and you just click on that. Now in this app, they've already preloaded a lot of super common categories, which I think is great so that as you're kind of brainstorming what you might want to put money aside for, they've already got a lot of really great options for you to pick from. And then aside from that, they also have custom categories. So you can add a custom category and you can enter the name of the category and then select an icon that best represents what that category is for. So for me, when it comes to putting a budget together, I actually do a step before using an app. And I talk a lot about that in my 2025 annual budget video. And if you're interested in the steps that I take to put that together, I'll make sure to include a link down in the description. So for me, I start outside of an app when it comes to building my budget, and I get an idea of the income that I can expect each month. And then I put all of my categories in and I kind of categorize them between needs, investing, and wants, just so I can get a general idea of what the percentages are. And then once I've figured out all of my categories and how much money I want to allocate to them, I will then load those categories into a budgeting app with the values. So what you can see here is that I've set up car and auto for $365. That is for my auto loan. Then I have dining and drinks for $200. So that's any kind of eating or drinking that I do outside of the house. Next is entertainment for $420. Now this is made up of both my free spending account and my daughter's allowance. I just didn't feel like breaking out the two, so I've combined them into this single category. I then have fees for $20, and that's just for my toll road fees. I then have financial for $180, and that's for my Roth IRA. Then I have $140 for gas, $600 for groceries, $106 for gymnastics, $40 for my home goods, $176 for my car insurance, $55 for my internet, $100 for medical, $25 for a music subscription, $80 for both of my pets. Now, traditionally, I break this out between two of my pets, but I went ahead and combined it just to test out this budget for the next month. $65 for my phone, $1,660 for my rent, $11 for my subscription, and $145 for my utilities. So the next thing that I quickly wanted to show is what does it look like to connect one of your accounts to the budgeting app. So if you've ever used a budgeting app in the past, they actually use a pretty common company that I've seen across other platforms, and the company is called Plaid. And this is just a company that helps people connect their financial data to apps and services. So if you've walked through this process before, you may already be familiar with it. And actually, for me personally, I recently linked 3 of my credit cards to a different budgeting app that I've used to date. And so when I went through Plaid to link the same cards, they actually already had everything set up for me. So it really was hassle-free. But basically the steps that I took were to click that add account button, and then it brings up the initial Plaid screen talking about how they're going to use Plaid to connect your accounts. You can connect in seconds, and that Plaid uses the best-in-class encryption to help protect your data. They've got a privacy policy that you can click on if you're interested. And if you do decide to continue, the next part is entering your phone number. And I think that's really just how you log into Plaid itself. So again, if you choose to continue, it'll ask that you verify your phone number. And once you're fully logged in, you can then select a saved institution or search for a new institution. So for me, I already had a couple of my credit cards linked, and so I just went ahead and started with Capital One first. And so it had me log into Capital One, and then Capital One has me go through just a couple of prompts to confirm my agreement and sharing the information. And then they also give me a couple of options of what exactly I want to share with the app. So for me, I just try to keep it as simple as possible, and I really just want my transactions to come in. So I made all of my selections, and then I was able to select which accounts I want to use. So I do have 2 credit cards with Capital One, and I went ahead and selected both of them. And then of course you do have to authorize connecting. So I did that. And then I followed the process again to do my 3rd credit card, which is with Citibank. And so what I found really interesting is that each institution actually has like different prompts for authorization. So for example, Capital One let me kind of select what kind of information I wanted to share, and Citibank already had it pre-selected what they will share and what they won't share with the app. So you don't have a ton of flexibility there, but I did go ahead and authorize access. Now, once you add all of your accounts, they're gonna pop up under your profile page. And then if you click on an account, it'll have the name of the card, the account type, the institution, and your account number, and then the refresh data. So how recently they've refreshed that information between the app and your credit card. Now, just taking a quick step back, again, I did want to reiterate, you can use a free version of this app. Now, when I initially downloaded it and was playing around with it in the free version, there are ads at like the bottom of the screen and maybe in the middle of the screen, but they're really not that distracting. And then of course, you can use this app just by manually entering all of your transactions. For me personally, that is how I did my budgeting for years, and I really don't have any complaints. It does take a little bit more time, but I think it's really important to know exactly where your money is going and how you feel about the places that your money is going. But I wanted to keep things really fair when it comes to comparing this app to my other app, so that's why I went ahead and linked my accounts and linked the same accounts that I'm using on the other app. Now, if you do decide to go premium, there are 3 different pricing options. So there is a monthly membership, which is currently going for $14.99 a month. There's a quarterly membership, and that goes for $39.99 for 3 months. And then there's a yearly membership that is $89.99 a year. Now, the last thing that I wanted to do in this app was do a little bit more deep dive on the overview tab, just so you can get a little bit more of a feel for the app. So I'm back on the overview tab, and at the top there are all of my budgets. So I can scroll over to the right and I can see a pretty good amount of them. And like I said, it shows you how much money you have left in each category. And then if you go to the View All tab, it's gonna take you to the Budgets tab where you get a full list of your budgets. Now, I did wanna note at this time, you can't move your categories in different areas. And so just personal preference for me, I do have a certain order that I like things for my categories. So for example, I like a lot of my needs at top. So if I had the flexibility, I'd like to put my rent at the top and then my utilities and then have it kind of go down until my free spending. But at this time, they only have a sort option, which gives you the ability to categorize by A to Z or Z to A, or you can categorize by budget or by remaining amount. In the next section, again, you have your cash flow. And so if you click on the View All button, that's gonna take you to the Activity tab where all of your transactions are. And so that way you can see what exactly you had for income and what you had for expenses. Next, for spending, if you click the View All button, again, it takes you to the Activity page where you have a list of all of your transactions. Now, if you click on one of the categories from this overview page, it goes straight into the category and it has your monthly budget listed and then all of the transactions that have come through. Now, I am playing in this a little bit more than I did previously. So what's really interesting, for example, is that I budget $600 a month for groceries, and it shows that I have $427 left. If I click into the budget, I can see that my monthly budget is $600, but there's no transactions that have pulled in. I'm sure that's something that'll be fixed in future updates, But just initially, very interesting that I would think all of my grocery transactions would pop up when I click on the category, just to kind of see where and when I spent that money. Now, if you do head over to the budgets tab, and in my case, I go look at groceries, it says that I've spent $173 of 600. From here, when I click on groceries, I now can see all of my transactions. And so just to highlight, again, I spent $173 this month. So that really is just these first two transactions, one for $145 and one for $27. When you click into this category, if you have your accounts linked, it may include a much longer history. So for example, my history goes all the way back to November, which I find really interesting. I think that could be a little confusing to not see what exactly makes up that $173 amount. But again, I'm sure that's something that could be tweaked in future updates. Back on the overview tab though, I do want to highlight that the other buttons on here, like under cash flow and spending, they aren't really anything that you can tap into. It's just, again, like a dashboard for you to look at. And then when it comes to top categories, again, it lists the top 4 categories for me. And if I click into view all, that's going to take me back to the activity page with all of the transactions. So I don't really get any more details like about the other categories. I think the other thing that's interesting here, it's not really clear the time frame that it's showing you this information. So I assume when it says 28 transactions under shopping and that I've spent $2,177, that's probably gonna go back to November 5th, which is where it started pulling in information. I don't know if that's something that this app is doing, where it's bringing in like a couple of months at a time so that you can see a trend. So for now, I think it's interesting to look at. Of course, I'm thinking, gosh, that's a lot of shopping. But of course, I did just come out of the Christmas holiday, so that may be what a lot of that is associated with. I definitely think that this is a really cool section that could probably give me a little bit more insights in future updates. Now again, under the accounts, it shows the total for all of my credit cards, but there isn't really anything to click on. And then for recent activity, again, you can't click into these entries. You can go to view all, and then you could click an entry from here. Now, if you do decide that you need to make an update to the category, you would just click into the transaction itself. They have an edit button at the top right-hand corner, and you could go in, you could update the description if you wanted to, and then you could change the category as needed. And I think after using this for a month, I'm gonna have a lot more feedback and thoughts on the app, but I do want to allow some time for some of these initial updates to come out. For example, I was watching one of the video replays when they first launched this, and they actually did not have the custom categories rolled out on day 1, but they have rolled it out since launching. So I want to give the next month to kind of see what are the updates that they are going to push before I give any kind of thoughts on the app itself. But I did want to highlight something that was really interesting to me is when you click on these transactions, there is no reference to which card is being used or which account is pulling this information in. And so for me, I just find that kind of interesting. You know, when you compare this to other apps out there, for example, I can usually see like, oh, this ties back to my Citi Custom Cash card. And there's also some reconciling that you can do in other apps just to confirm that all of your entries are in. But again, I don't want to come on here and say anything at this time because that's not really the intent of this video. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about in this video is the website Simpler Money. I think that both the app and the website really go hand in hand with each other. And so if you're just starting out on this journey, I think it's really nice that they've got a platform with a community where you can connect with other people. They've got tutorials of the app, and I expect that they'll be pushing out more information over the next couple of weeks just to support you in your journey of starting on this app. So once you do get logged in, you just kind of have like an initial dashboard. You can see on the right-hand side, they've got the upcoming lives. And so these are supposed to be some videos with financial experts in the field. So I think that's really cool. Such an awesome platform to keep people connected and to keep them informed and educated. If you go to the financial feed, this is where you can get into some of the forums and some of the discussions that are happening, and where everybody is kind of talking about what they're experiencing on the app. They can ask questions, they can talk about what their experience is. So I think that's really cool and such a great way for you to feel supported as you get started in this. So there's some mini classes on here, like how much car can you afford, an introduction to student loans and how to reduce your debt now. So a lot of really great educational information out here to help you get started. And then at the very end, they've got the education section. So again, like it mentioned, with that premium membership, you get 10% off. So they've got the Master Your Money, the Ultimate Investing Toolkit, and the definitive debt-free formula. Over the next month, I'm gonna be using this app in parallel to my other app that I've used for 3 years. And then at the end of the month, I'm gonna be doing a review of what my experience was like with this app, who I think this app might be really good for, and any other kind of comments that I have. If you have any questions, please let me know down in the comments so that hopefully maybe I can address any of those questions that you have in my next video. That's gonna be everything for this video. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I hope that you found value in doing a walkthrough of this budget, and I hope that you're as excited as I am. I look forward to talking to you more in about a month from now and sharing my experience with this app and what I've liked about it so far. So thanks so much, and see you next time. Bye!